Jeremy, I'll begin with you. You cover Republicans. You've written extensively about the Trump base. You have said correctly that conspiracy theories are sort of coin of the realm for a lot in Trump's orbit. But now the shoe's on the other foot. And it's interesting. I mean, we've heard from Trump a lot on social media, but he has not fielded a question from a single reporter since the Wall Street Journal story broke Thursday evening. He had some events Friday. He ignored shouted questions. We didn't see him this weekend. That will likely change today. Do you think right now, does it seem like he's kind of quelled the firestorm, or could this pick up again?
Yeah, for now, it seems that this has kind of been tamped down, and we have the Wall Street Journal to thank for that, oddly enough. The story that ran in the Journal a few days ago about this drawing and birthday gift that Trump gave to Jeffrey Epstein was a real gift because it validates the fears that a lot of Trump's base have about the establishment, these forces unseen and seen behind the scenes that will just stop at nothing to spread lies about Donald Trump. And of course, if they're animating, the ideas animating their politics are focused and kind of wrapped up in conspiracy theories, it's going to make a lot of sense that they believe that the Wall Street Journal is part of that and that they are just out spreading these lies. I mean, it's interesting that Rupert Murdoch kind of oddly ends up being the reason here that Trump's base runs back into his hands. It may not make a whole lot of sense at face value, but you have to remember the kind of conspiratorial thinking a lot of Republican and Trump supporters, I would call them Trump supporters, I guess, first before I call them Republicans, have when it comes to the media and its relationship with Donald Trump. Rupert Murdoch runs a news company that, as far as these folks are concerned, has never fully been bought in with Trump, has tried to sabotage Trump at almost every turn. I mean, this is the Fox News in their minds that called the election for Biden in 2020, the first network to do so. That was Fox, remember. It's a network that, or a news organization with the New York Post that supported Ron DeSantis very favorably over Trump ahead of the 2024 presidential election. So they believe they have very good reason to doubt the motives of the Wall Street Journal. When I was doing my reporting for my book on Trump's relationship with voters and how he came to dominate the Republican Party, one of the things that I came across toward the end of my work was this survey that Trump's top pollster, Tony Fabrizio, did in 2021 of the GOP electorate. And he's taken a look over the decades, actually, going back to the 90s, at the changing nature of the electorate and what they believe. He's the first person to have identified back in the 2000s this segment called the Dennis Miller Republican. This sense of cultural isolation, anger over illegal immigration, people who didn't necessarily wouldn't have voted for a Mitt Romney or necessarily been very favorable toward a George W. Bush. These folks were coming to the real ascendancy in the GOP. Well, fast forward to 2021 when Trump's pollster looked at the GOP electorate again, and he found just how salient conspiracy theories were to the Trump voter. And he found this new category called the InfoWars Republicans.
Right.
And these were people that Trump's pollster identified as believing in 4 or more of the tenets of QAnon, right? Which is this pedophile cabal is running the country and the Clintons are behind it and, God knows what else. So that accounted for, according to this document that Tony Fabrizio, the survey that he put together, a full 10% of the Republican electorate, 10% of the GOP base is in some ways believing in these QAnon conspiracy theories.
So with these conspiracy theories, Dave Rode, front and center, yes, at the moment, President Trump can kind of rally the base again and say, look, it's the big bad media, and they're focusing their anger on the Wall Street Journal. But at a certain point, these conspiracy theorists and other Republicans, too, who've been living with the Epstein case for so long, are going to want to see some of this evidence. And we heard from Trump last week saying to authorize the Attorney General to release some grand jury transcripts. And we should note up top, that's only a sliver of the materials involved in this case. So walk us through what could be next. Do we have any sense as to what could be released, when it could be released, and what sort of stuff may we never see?
It's not clear, but my guess would be there might be some kind of hearing by the judge who this motion, it looks like, will go to the judge who handled the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. and would have handled an Epstein trial if he hadn't killed himself. You're right. Of all the documents they could have requested, the grand jury transcripts is going to have the least amount of money. And the base may not believe this, but there are very strict rules. Like they're going to redact the names of other people that come up in that. Most of all, the victims, absolutely, there should be redacted. But there's a basic tenet in American law that if David Rode is mentioned by hand during a grand jury proceeding, but I'm not charged with a crime, you don't use the power of government to just smear me, to put my name out. You have to be indicted by a jury of your peers. That's a basic principle of the rule of law in this country. So not much is going to come out of it. I have no idea what's going to happen in the next week or two. I leave that to the political experts.